Healy did ask that question. Yes, keep the recording in process, in progress. So DLC 752, Kevin Healy asked that question last night, but he never said who it was. So we spoke afterwards, and I was able to reach Tony Owens, and Tony Owens told me it's a private matter. So since it's a private matter, then that's all that I know. It's just a private matter. And I informed DLC President 752, Kevin Healy, that was a private matter. If he wanted to reach out to Tony, then he'd be able to. But thanks for that great question. Okay, so then the next questioner is, I'm gonna try to say her name correctly, Dalia Jaramillo.
Very good, Richard. Thank you. Hold on. Let me put on the video.
Okay, take your time.
I like to look at who I'm talking to. Can you hear me?
Oh, I see you very good. Yeah.
All right. Hi, Richard. I've sent you a few emails. Okay. I know you've been busy. You might not have gotten it. I'm happy that we're able to have this discussion today. I'm an incoming Bieber, and I do have a criticism, but it's not you. As a matter of fact, I want to give you a prop for trying to protect another steward's privacy. Okay. In the comment that was just brought up, right. Robert Bays, I have to call you out. I'm sorry to do so, but you called out a steward, put out his business when I didn't know who the person was. Now I do, because you put out that person's business. That was wrong of you to name his name, Robert.
So
shame on you. I'm sorry, Richard, but I just had to say that. Okay.
So I
so it's a private matter. We're going to put that aside.
Okay.
But I do have a request, okay? And I hope it's a small one. I just happened to be looking at my phone and saw that this notification came up about 10 minutes ago. And so for important meetings like this,
yes,
please give us a little bit more time. You know, like if you knew about it at noon, let us know at noon, but some of us, especially when we go back into the offices, we don't like to do union business on state property or on state time. And so after this call, I'm going to have to put another hour in because my official hours end at 6.
Oh,
and so,
okay.
So many of us are used to a meeting at 6:30.
Okay.
And that gives us enough time to get home and, wash our hands and whatever we need to do, and then put ourselves in a union frame of mind.
Okay, so I'll say this. You're right. And I started at 5, so I could let people talk the whole night at 2-minute segments. So, but I'll start from now on at 6:30. And then number 2, IT, DLC President 792, Jack Dean, states he can't get in. There's some other people who are stating they can't get in. I don't know the max number for Zoom meetings. And on the Facebook Live, I see 55 people watching me. So what I'm trying to do, Dalia, is do the Zoom. It's going to be recorded. I don't want to say my behavior, but my behavior will be monitored, and it'll go up on the union website and on Facebook Live. On both of my pages, people will also be able to watch and make a determination if I'm doing my job.
Well, you know what, Richard? I sent you an email about privacy and so forth.
Right.
And the kind of information why a steward call is important, but I'm cool with an open membership as well. The situation that just happened.
All right.
And
and you're right.
And so yeah, I mean that shitty people do shitty things, and I don't think Robert's necessarily shitty, but that was a shitty thing to do.
Okay, I got the message. So
steward speech is protected speech. I had to say it so he understands.
The VP of Organizing and Representation, Annika Wass, asked me today, and I said I think it's a great idea. Eventually, I don't like the name steward calls because it gives the idea that only stewards can be on it. So I think what I have to do in the future is we'll have a steward call.
Mhm.
I still want everything to be transparent. And then but I don't, that's why I want to change the name from steward call to a people's call or some type of name I'll come up with.
Yes, and I understand that right now we're in an actual open public call that is open to all state workers or just dues paying state workers.
What we're trying to do, this is my platform that I ran on, is being transparent because this idea that we have a quote, ineffective union that may possibly have corruption, we're going to get rid of all of that. And so what I'm doing is I'm talking to everyone on my good days and my bad days, and then you have to make an overall determination. So I'll stop talking with you because I want to make sure everyone has a chance to talk, and then you come back in the queue and I can talk to you again. Is that fair enough?
Or we can even talk just you and me.
Right. Oh, and I have a feeling you'll be calling me. And I got your email. I'm trying to go through my emails. My assistant just came up this morning, so I'm trying to go through all those emails. Okay, so we'll stop here, and now we'll go to Cindy. Okay, thank you very much. And so now we'll go to Cindy Doyle.
Hi there, how's it going? Okay. Lively first couple days. Congratulations, goodness.
Thank you.
Now I know that there's a lot of people who are going to get on here and try to ask for union leave and all that kind of stuff, including bargaining chairs. First off, okay, yes, bargaining is important, of course. Bargaining chairs are important, but your union leave ended 6:30. Now, one thing that they need to make very, very clear is that a lot of the bargaining chairs are doing work that is supposed to be done in conjunction with or in cooperation with the VP of organizing and the VP of bargaining. So a lot of the tasks that the bargaining chairs have been taking on has also supposed to have been spread out between not only staff, but the various VPs. So if I was in your spot, Richard, my first thing would be to do is give me the list of things you're supposed to be doing and why you need union leave in order to even consider putting you back on union leave. That would be me. So I totally support the efforts of, nope, sorry, go back to work, or unless you can prove otherwise. So, but I've always been an advocate of, hey, let's do a forensic audit of all union leave and show me where you're doing your work. Because as far as I'm concerned, we've got a lot of people doing a lot of BS and they're not doing jack. So
I'll interject here. The chief of staff, Donna Snodgrass, has religiously told me for the last 2 days what she's wanted on this. So she agrees with you.
Right on. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. So that was quick. Okay. So the next person I think is Carolyn Aulis. Carolyn Aulis. I see her hand is raised.
Actually, I'm gonna defer to a later time and I'll let other people go. And I didn't realize my hand was still up.
Okay, very good. I see Robert Bays is back in the queue, but I want to make sure we get Karen Franklin, Francisca, and Nick Mannion. Okay, so let's go with Karen Franklin so she can talk.
Hi, Richard. Good evening.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Working.
So I have just two quick things just to talk about quickly. One, the only issue I have with this being broadcast on Facebook is that not only us seeing it, but the heads of the departments that we work for also seeing it and using stuff that is said or debates that are had on this to their advantage, which is not a good thing. You know, of course, this should be seen by all of us that belong to SEIU Local 1000, but not the departments that we fight for fairness for our members. That's one thing. It's my opinion. The second thing, I just have a question. I was told today that for the chairs, their emails were stopped today, and they were their access to the office was taken away. Is that true?
Their union leave ended June 30th.
The union leave, but do they still have access to finish to their emails so that they can continue to do the things that they were doing, the projects that they were working on?
So we'll check on that. I thought they still had access to their emails, and maybe their access to their Local 1000 emails, maybe that ended. I was not informed of that.
Yeah, I was told that it was, and I mean, that would be a horrible thing. Just because they're working on things and have communications with the departments about things that they're working on. So that would really highly enhance the way that they're able to work on issues for our members.
Got it. It'll be done.
You're right. It will be corrected if that was what happened.
Awesome. All right, that's it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Have a great
Have a
evening.
good evening. Bye.
Okay. Now I just got a text message, IT. DLC president, I believe he's still the president, Ronald Rawson, says he's been stuck in the queue, but I don't see his hand raised in the queue. So I don't know if IT can reach out to him or not. So the next hand that I see is Francisca. I can't see her last name, but her hand is raised. Francisca.
Yes, hi, thank
Francesca.
you so very much. First of all, I want to say, number one, I'm relatively new to the state. I've been here less than 10 months and I'm thrilled to be here. I'm also thrilled to be having representation by the SEIU. I'm a strong union supporter. This meeting for me is really kind of a getting to know you meeting and understanding the lay of the land and what's going on. And I don't know how many people of the 500 people who are here are relatively new like me versus those of you who know each other and have relationships. But as a newcomer, it was really uncomfortable and awkward to hear people sniping at each other and fighting and bickering and casting aspersions.
So Francesca,
I
can you?
Yeah, I apologize if I'm overstepping, but
Francesca, I can't hear you. Can you? I heard what you said, but can you speak up a little bit? That's why I'm leaning into the phone or into the camera.
I truly apologize. Can you hear me now?
I think I can hear you better now, a little better.
Wow, I wonder what, okay, all right. So I am relatively new with the state. I've been here 10 months. I'm delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be represented by SEIU. I'm a strong union supporter and have been for years. As a newcomer, and I apologize if I am overstepping, but as a newcomer, I'm really here to sort of listen and learn and get the lay of the land. So again, I apologize if I'm overstepping, but of the 500 people who are on this call, I have no idea how many of us are new versus who have been here for a while and established relationships with each other. But as a relative newcomer, I found it very disconcerting to have, to bear witness to such infighting and just as casting aspersions against one another. As an activist, I've never found that to be productive. So I'm hoping for all of our benefit that introduction to this meeting was not the normal way of doing business
So
for all of our sakes. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So I'm gonna respond to that really quickly. You have different types of leaders. Some leaders tell you that they're going to be transparent and they're going to do all these things. And then once they get your vote and they get in office, you don't hear from them again. Mm-hmm. And I'm just not like that. And so what I'm trying to do and what I'm going to do is I'm going to expose people for who they are.
And I wasn't referring to you.
No, I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is, when you hear about transparency for Local 1000, they're going to do all this change. That comes from me in my 2015 campaign. Let's change our union through integrity, courage, integrity, vision, through transparency. Those are my words. And what you're going to notice is everyone tries to imitate what I say and what I do. You don't hear people talk about the labor movement until recently because I started saying the labor movement. So all these things you hear in the last few years about how, quote, people are going to change the union, those were my words from my 2015 campaign. But I realized in 2021 that change is not enough. You must create because you can't change what you never had. And so I've stated religiously that we've never had a, quote, labor union. We've had a social justice organization. So sometimes, in order to have peace, you kind of have to have war. And what people oftentimes do is they look at certain parts of a book and look at all the love, but they don't look at other parts of the book where it talks about where they had to go to war to get the love. And so what I'm saying is sometimes we have to expose ourselves and then we can come together. But as long as we act like we have to keep everything hush hush and we're afraid, then our quote union will never go forward. And this is why I was elected. So I know I'm doing things that many people don't approve because I'm challenging the status quo, but I'm doing it out in the open. And so we haven't had any strategy sessions. The only thing I've ever said, Francesca, is we're going to create this strike fund that I got to get to work on immediately. I'm trying to do all these other things as soon as I can. But that strike fund, without a strike fund, you don't have any strategy. But that's my opinion. And hopefully I can get you and other people to agree to that. Okay, so I'll stop talking. I talked about 2 minutes, I think. So we're going to go to to the IT people. Betty Jackson Stewart is claiming she can't get in. She's out of DLC 724. Her name's Betty Jackson Stewart, and her information should be in the Compass. So we're going to go to Nick Mannion. Let's go to him next. And then we still didn't get Ronald Rawson.
Hey, how you doing, Richard? This is Nick Mannion.
Hi, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to call you right back.
No, it's no problem. I think you're a little busy.
Yeah.
I got a few questions for you. All right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm not one to cut the fat on this. I'm just gonna go straight to it.
Okay.
Is it your intention? Actually, let me go back. Are you gonna reschedule SBAC?
Yes, it's going to be, it's delayed and it's going to get rescheduled. That's correct.
How soon do you think?
You know what? I don't want to jump and say, well, we're going to do it immediately after the next election, because we had this current election and then they announced the winner and then they said, well, there's a protest period, and then someone did some protests. And so in the last call from yesterday, I'm sorry, not yesterday. Oh boy. Last Thursday, there was a big concern, and I haven't been able to reach out to the elections committee and the vendors about running a good, clean, and fair elections, because people don't trust this current elections outcome. And so I'm afraid that we do things the exact same way for this VP of bargaining, this re-election, people are going to make the same complaints. So I can't even tell you if there is a protest and how the elections committee is going to rule on it. We may end up having another election for VP of bargaining. So that's why I'm hesitant to say when we're going to have this SBAC. I'm sorry,
So
it took too long.
you're raising this interesting question now, and I wasn't actually going to say it, but
I see
you brought up I know there's time. You brought up having a fair election, etc. Would you be willing to have a hand recount of the ballots that we just had in this last election, and to look into the discrepancies that happened with some of the voting that occurred?
Well, the elections committee said that it was fair and clean. When they did the protest committee did the redo for the VP of bargaining, and they said the other elections was fair and clean. Now, if you're asking me to go back and recount that again for fairness, see, to be honest, I don't have a problem with that. But I think to the people who've won already, who ran the contested races, they would throw a fit because they said the decision was already made. And I imagine, because I don't have the attorneys in front of me, they'd have a lot to say. And then the vendors, if I did that, then the vendors would say I'm questioning their integrity. And then the contract people we hired to run the election, they would say, well, Richard, what are you doing? Are you questioning our integrity? So I'm not against what you're saying, but I'm already fighting the bunk team for not keeping them on bunk leave. I'm already being fought on the elections debate for the VP of bargaining. I don't want to spend money on politics. So I have all these battles in front of me. So, Nick, do you really want me to add this battle back into it again? They muted you. Okay, so unmute Nick, and then we'll talk, and then we'll go
So
to the next
no, well,
person.
because and I simply raised the question because you had brought it up in the last conversation you had. You said
Mhm.
a lot of folks were looking at the last election and they looked at it kind of side eye. That's not your exact words, but that's
Yeah.
kind of like what I heard, and so that's kind of what I was trying to say. But that being said, I mean, I kind of, and now I'll just kind of come out and just say it. It's like you're taking on all these things and you're having all these fights, and
Mhm.
you're saying I'm going to fight.
Right.
We have less than a year before we go to the table with the state of California. And
So-
we have, and one second, let me finish.
Okay.
We have people who were elected to go and be our district bargaining representatives that need to be elected into the bunk. So is that being said, we're already behind the 8 ball on time. That's kind of what I'm seeing. And I'm like, my concern now as a member, because I'm no longer an elected official.
Right.
My concern is now as a member is that we are behind when it comes
Right.
to SBAC. So, and which in turn would mean, having some sort of a campaign strategy, having some sort of, strategy to go up and, have our discussions with the state, what items we're going to bring up against the state, what the things that matter to us as simple working class folk, rather than, like this infighting that's occurring within the local.
So I'm gonna answer you quickly, and then we're going to the next caller. You make good points. I'm looking at the current contract, January 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2023. We don't go into contract negotiations normally
But 2
until.
That's right, 2 years still. I mean, it's 2 years to me. I've doing the union work.
Mhm.
I've done this before. 2 years is nothing, man.
No, you're right. You're
And I'm
right.
old. You can tell by the gray hairs in my beard.
No, I got
that
you.
there's a reason for it. And I can tell you right now, we can never be more prepared than doing it now. Even if it's a year, 2 years, what have you, even our elected officials, like our bunk people, our chairs, those people work on notices that are coming from the state of California on a continual basis.
Right.
Those notices end up having meetings where we are engaging our folks.
Right.
That is their priority. And I kind of see this as being kind of like, all right, this is just kind of a sideshow. That's my opinion. And I'll be straight, like I said, I'm not going to cut the fat with you. I'll be straight up.
And I'm glad that you're doing that. And so we're going to end this, and I'll simply say this. I'm trying to watch you and the Zoom and watch Facebook Live and watch the comments. So I'm trying to multitask. A little tough on me. And so Paul Cope, one of our hired contractors, is stating that the elections was run clean, and that's, he does these elections, so he's putting his 2 cents in. So I'm watching the comments and I'm listening to you. I want to thank you for your time. We're going to try to rectify this process as quickly as possible. Thank you. So we're going to move on to Ronald Rawson. I don't see his name in the queue. I see Preston, I see Heidi, and I see DLC President 792 Jack Dean, but I don't see Ronald Rawson. I don't know why I don't see him.
So Richard, we spoke with Ron on the phone. He's having issues with connectivity, so he's dropping in and out. So
Perfect.
I saw him raised hand before Heidi before. So after Preston, if we want to see if he's back on, then maybe we could hit him and then continue back with the queue.
Okay, that sounds great. So can we go to Preston then? Preston?
Hey,
yes. Hi, Preston.
Congratulations, President Brown.
How are you?
Good to have you. Hey, so I'm a union rep on staff in Fresno, California.
Oh, thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Under Yvonne Walker, a policy was implemented where all our staff emails are deleted after 6 months. And that really hinders my ability to represent members because I get policy and emails from managers. I have to go back sometimes 1 year to file unfair practice charges. We can file request to file charges with SPB in 1 year. So all this evidence really and information is lost. And I was wondering if there is going to be a policy change on that, and if it happens, when it would happen, and also. Go ahead.
It's done. It's going to get fixed.
Okay, great. Thank you for that.
Okay.
The other thing that Yvonne Walker did was restricted my ability to access the member lists and access work phone numbers for members. they're all blacked out on Compass. And I was wondering if you're going to lift that restriction as well.
So
Okay. That's that Compass licensing thing.
Oh, so Preston, I want to say yes. I'm being told no. So you and I will have a further conversation about protecting people's privacy while you're still able to do your job to the best of your ability.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for calling.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next hand I see in the queue. So once we go through Heidi and Jack Dean, we should be able to go back to Robert and then get to Dahlia. Okay, so let's go to Heidi Chadwick.
Really quick, Richard, do you want to get Ron Ross? And it looks like he's back on.
Yes, let's bring him on, please. Hello, Ronald. Can you hear me?
I'm trying to ask him to unmute, but he's not coming unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Richard. Thank you for taking my call. I've been in queue. I was thinking that this same craziness that has happened with certain people being dropped from our calls and not being able to. I want to thank you for being vulnerable and setting up the Stewart call last night and again today, even when it's your first day at work. So thank you, and looking forward to these years ahead. I just wanted to comment on a few things. As far as it, hats off to all the bunk chairs that are doing their work, and really for the people. We have not all had the same experience. So I'm glad you're taking methodical care to make sure that we get people in these chairs that are for the members. We are nurses that have just went through a pandemic, and I'm sorry, we had a lot of stuff that just was not there for us. So we're trying to be absolutely careful. There's still conflict of interest matters that are in bargaining unit 17 that we've made you quite aware of. We need to remedy some of those things before we, take on bunk and SBAC because our room there's a conflict of interest with institutional and non-institutional nurses and the work we do, and the fact that some of us have been ignored and that we haven't been reclassified in 30 years on our job. So hats off to those that work. I also want to say on the issue with the vice president of bargaining, let's not talk in third person when people are on the phone. I think I saw Tony on this call, so I don't appreciate that. And especially the comments made last night. If we're going to berate him, we have never let the state be our barometer of what we're going to do with people in the union. The state, we don't give a rat's ass what the state's doing. Because if we're going to go there, we've had people whose professional license has been in jeopardy, nurses, other paraprofessionals, and we don't discuss their licensing on this call. And
That's right.
We're not going to go into personal matters with what the job said and this and that. I don't like this infighting bull crap that I'm hearing. And there's people who've lost their license to practice, and we have not exposed them on these calls. So we're going to open up the Pandora's box, so let's do it on everything and not just Tony Owens or our vice president of bargaining. I want to know who didn't provide him a zealous representation that they would allow his job to beat the hell out of him. The fact that this union did not, because I've been a steward who didn't get zealous representation from this union, and we get beat the hell up, and we get counseling memos and all that for doing union work. And so I want to know what's our protection and who didn't defend him and who was in representation. I want to talk to them.
Okay. So I heard your message loud and clear. We should protect our people. And you're absolutely right, Ron. I don't know what's going on. Tony Owens told me it's a private matter. And so we always protect our people. And, this is why, I have a very strong mindset about our people. even though other people may tell you differently. We're going to take care of our own. And sometimes in a family, we have fights. We try not to have the fights out in the open, but sometimes family members will have fights out in the open. But as you know, Ron, when two people in a family, two brothers are fighting in the yard, the neighbors don't get involved, because those two people who are fighting, those two brothers who are fighting, they'll get together, make peace, and then jump on you. And you know this. So I don't care about the state of California or anybody else. If we may have our little internal battles, we may be fighting among ourselves, but if you think we're going to let somebody else come in and divide us or try to make us fight each other in a more vicious fashion, we will unite and turn on them. And that's why I'm doing these transparent videos. But like I tell people, and I told my voters, you have to put up with my good behavior and my bad behavior, because overall, I am going to get you this money. You have to sit back and trust me. And I'm not lying. So when I said about being transparent, and you see me on good days and bad days, I'm also going to see everyone represented by Local 1000 on good days and bad days. And then we have to make an overall impression about each other. And I'll end it by saying this quickly. The former president didn't give you any transparency. She recited poems for you when you were hurting and losing 2 days of pay for a whole fiscal year. And so when I hear people say about, we got to hurry up and do this SBAC and hurry up and do this and that, what I want to know is that same intensity, that same energy that they came at with me last night, did you have that same intensity, that same energy to protect our money under the signed contract? Did you use that same energy? Did you use that? But I'm on my best behavior tonight. I'm gonna act accordingly, and I'm gonna stop there. So we're gonna go to Heidi Chadwick. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi. So congratulations. We're happy
thank
for
you. Very
you.
much. Thank you.
I just wanted to, so somebody did address the fact that some people are newer and they were a little discouraged by maybe the unprofessionalism and backbiting with communication. I just want to provide that person with clarification that right now we're in a big transition. Our former president, Yvonne Walker, did nothing to represent many of us. In fact, we had a contract where we were supposed to receive a raise. And not only did she not honor that contract that was legally binding, she just rolled over and gave Gavin Newsom 10% of our pay for an entire year. She actually stopped our ability to gain union stewards for over a year and a half. So many of us were living in horrible working conditions. There was nothing we could do about it. I think we have maybe 2 Heffin stewards in the entire state. They can't be everywhere all at once. So what you're seeing is a person who I think was the vice president or president for maybe 8 years or so, really just run this union into the ground. And a example of that was the fact that we have very poor union participation now, as far as people who are paying dues members, and very low participation in the elections, because people had just lost faith. So there's a big transition going on here. And I think some of the behaviors you're seeing are because we're going through a huge growing pain right now. So, just for that, I do agree that we should do a full forensic audit and find out where our money is going and where things are squirreled away and what's going on. I do agree that our meetings should be somewhat semi-private. Particularly, people have brought up bargaining, right? So obviously it's like poker. If we're going to negotiate contracts and we're going to negotiate bargaining, we're going to have these conversations of what is important to whom. We want to keep those cards close to our chest. We want to make sure that that's not, live for everybody on Facebook. So I do agree with the semi-private. There needs to be a little bit more control, right? We don't want the enemy behind lines. Where's everything else? There was one more thing, but I don't remember. So if I remember, I'm just going to raise my hand. I'll let everybody else speak. But congratulations. We're happy to have you. I do believe that, I absolutely believe that if people are taking leave for one reason or another, they need to justify why they need that payment. We don't get, just like we have to justify our work and we have to speak to our work to receive our paycheck. you know, if representatives are out there, no matter what capacity, and they're getting paid to perform in that manner, they need to be able to justify it. Because I can tell you, for bargaining unit 17, we haven't seen that representation, with the exception of really Ron and Mary. SEIU has been wholly absent. So I absolutely agree with the fact that there needs to be some justification for union leave and what it is they're doing.
Thank you very much. And I'll give a quick response. When I do these, as I call it, open meetings, they're all about common sense. I've never done a strategy meeting, and I would not do a strategy meeting out in the open. The only thing I've ever said is I'm begging people to join the union. And I've been accused of a lot of things, but I have begged people to join the union so we can create a massive strike fund. And that is just common sense. And I've, asked about having term limits for elected officer positions, for all elected officer positions for Local 1000. And so what I'm really doing is I'm showing you the hypocrisy of our union. And so when people tell you, Heidi, that the politicians are our bosses, and I say, no, we're taxpayers and we're voters. We're their bosses. And that we're a 50-50 partner in this situation. They're quick to tell you that I'm wrong. But the same politicians, they tell you all your bosses are on term limits. But if you ask these people, these Local 1000 leaders, do they want term limits? They tell you no. That's hypocrisy. And the same thing when they tell you voting for all, because our union supports us voting for all across America. And I believe in voting. You can best believe that. But yet, we don't allow all of our people to vote because some of them can't afford to vote, or they won't support political agendas of our union. So the reason why a lot of people are trying to, quote, shut me down is because I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of our union. But it's not just Local 1000. There's unions across America that have the same hypocrisy, these same problems, the same infighting. In fact, if we were smart, Heidi, we'd be doing a reality TV show and bringing in revenue. And I'll stop there. Okay.
Thank you for mentioning the voting. Actually, that was the other thing I wanted to say. I don't think we should be wasting money and time on reviewing the results for yet a third time. I think that's foolhardy, a waste of money, a waste of time. And as other people have brought up, that is time that is better spent preparing for our negotiations and preparing for our contracts. We've beaten this dead horse. We need to move on.
I agree. And one last thing, Ron Rawson and DLC President 772, Mary Dela Cruz, they're the real deal. They're the real deal. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so we'll move on to the next person. We're gonna get to Jack. Okay, we'll get to DLC President 792, Jack. I'm sorry, 792, Jack Dean. And then we'll get to Warren, I think Burgess, and then we'll come back to Robert and back to Delia. Okay, so Jack. Jack Dean, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? It's been a long couple of days, huh? I can tell by the smile, that's a yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to call in and say that, something that I'm a longtime business owner before coming to the state, and something that I learned is, nobody cared about my business the way that I cared about it. None of my employees, didn't matter. And I think that for the most part, that's true through the union as well. Nobody's going to care about SEIU 1000 like its members. We can pay people to work for us all day long. None of them will care or be vested the way that we are. I mean, maybe a few, but as a general rule, I found that to be true. However, I have seen a lot of abuse in union leave. We have a current chair that's in there right now that we have a State Department that is making up their own language on how they're going to place people on the salary schedule, and nothing is being done about it. We have a disabled veteran that went in, was placed at the very bottom of the scale, and made to stay there, even though he provided all of the evidence and the proof to that bargaining unit 3 chair that was supposed to get all of this taken care of. That member has now been ignored for over 2 months, can't even get a return call back from that chair. No return email, no return call. That member just resigned last Friday.
Wait, hold on, hold on, Jack. So if you need to call me afterwards, we're going to bring that person back. We're not going to let the person just walk away and think it's all over. No, no, no. And you know, I'll beg someone to come to the union. I'm not beyond begging.
I don't mean he resigned from the union. I mean, he resigned from his job. He resigned from the state. He was so fed up with the way this has been going. 2-year process, this has been going on. So I don't say that necessarily, you know, I don't say that to throw somebody under the bus. What I say that for is there needs to be check, there needs, sorry, I can't talk. We need to have a check and balances for those people that are on union leave. You know, if they're there and they're representing, if we have members and they're busting their tails to take care of the membership and to do the work that they're supposed to do, great, leave them there. But when we have those people that are just abusing it and sucking up the union dues, you know, they don't need to be in there. They need to step aside and let people come in there that can do the job and do the job right and get it done.
So I would like to respond to that. And I'm gonna surprise people with this answer. I know in my heart, Jack, that we are the #1 union in California. Now we have to work to be the #1 union in the world. And I know we have the best people in the state of California as far as state employees. Now, let me send a message to management. There are certain people who've been on union leave for a long time and they've been doing a lot of work. Some of them more than others. However, I know that a lot of that work can be done by the staff here at Local 1000. But the problem is we have to restructure. And then number two, we may have to do some more hiring so we can provide that super representation and not that minimal representation. And so when someone said, we don't want to air out our dirty laundry in public, they're right. But sometimes you have to air out your dirty laundry so you can get it cleaned up. But I don't want the state of California or anyone to think that we don't have the best state employees. Now, some of our employees who are represented by Local 1000, whether they're dues paying members or not, they're probably a little spoiled. But the last time I checked, and I can look right in my family, I know some of my cousins and I love them to death, but they're spoiled rotten. So some of our family relatives are spoiled rotten, but you know, if mom and dad, your mother and father, you know, if that's their favorite child, they're going to get away with everything. But we have to still love them anyway. And I hate to make it like that, you know, so real, but that's the truth. Now, I appreciate you coming on. It means a lot to me. And hopefully the bunk chairs will come on one by one. I haven't seen them come on yet, but I see that you care. And I see all these other people, they care a lot too. And that's why I said tonight, you know, maybe they were afraid to come on and deal with me tonight. But you ever notice my videos in the campaign? Some of my videos are hot. Some of them are very interesting. And then some of them, I act perfectly like a human being. I'm very professional and very dignified and very well thought out. But I don't get credit for those videos. So tonight, I probably won't get credit for having a normal conversation with everyone in the union. But I thank you for coming on. And we're gonna get back in the queue. Please do. Stay strong. And on July 8th, you know where I'll be. I'll be up there in Lassen County. I told you I'm coming. And we have that board meeting on July 6th. Okay, so I'll let that go. Okay, I got you. Okay, so we move on to, I think, Warren Burgess. Hi, Warren. Hi, Warren. Warren Burgess?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you.
Hi, Richard. Congratulations.
But thank you.
I sure hope things go well for you. Like I told you online, I know on my posts on your Facebook account and so forth, I'm an old school union person. I'm feeling a little bit threatened by some of the rhetoric that's sort of being tossed around, and it seems willy-nilly to me in some respects. You know, I think people really need to focus on, you know, the task at hand, which is to, you know, get together and, you know, exercise the power that we have as a unified body, and don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, we stand on the, as they say, we stand on the shoulders of giants. You know, if you are a new member, look into the history of unionization. Go see what people have gone through in the past. See who supported unionization. Don't just say, oh, gee, if we just do the right thing, everybody's going to support us, because that's not going to happen. Anyway, I don't want to get on a political rant but I do want to make one point about politics.
Okay.
I don't see how you're going to get out of politics. I don't see how, even if you promise and how hard you try, that isn't going to happen, in my opinion. So it's a matter of what role are we going to, is the organization going to play in politics? You can't just hate politics and figure it'll go away, because it's not. Okay, so let me get back to my more local issues. Okay. Which is, I used to be a steward, but I resigned because I didn't feel I got the support from the union that I needed.
Wait, hold on, wait. Can you come back? Are you willing to come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had that thought in mind for some time. Okay. And I'm still sort of the go-to guy around there. I just told people, I'm not going to take on everybody's problems, right, because I can't help enough. I mean, I've helped some people. Here's how I feel about it: is every grievance that I filed, I won. But when I filed one on my own behalf and was represented by the union, I lost. So I just sort of backed away from it. And I work for the Department of Corrections, and union people are not popular in the Department of Corrections. And there's a lot of retaliation. There's a lot of, pushback. There's a lot of, become a very unpopular person overnight as soon as you're identified as, particularly as a steward. But anyway, that's all, neither here nor there at this point. But yes, I am willing to consider that, although I'm approaching retirement and I'm having difficulty, reconciling my level of income with the idea that I'm going to have to retire soon. I can't get promoted is my big problem. I've been 14 years without a promotion. I see all this stuff about upward mobility and all this stuff about, succession management. Actually, years ago, and there are other people in the union who can back me up on this, is that I set up a Joint Labor Management Commission in my office. We met, and the main issue we brought was upward mobility, that the union, the contract required an upward mobility program. Well, now they've got this fabulous, really good looking upward mobility program, but I don't see it doing me any good, even though I'm the one that initiated the communication to management that they were required to do this by the contract. I was the one that got them to start paying attention to the contract in a big way. Like one of the chiefs in my unit or my office sent me an email one day and says, can you get me a copy of the contract? My attitude was, oh my God, I can't believe you don't know how to do that. So I sent him, I got online and I even forwarded it to him. And he said, thanks, I guess we ought to know what the contract is if we're going to be in compliance. So, management is not getting the word in a lot of ways from the union. And I think it's because the union has a sort of hostile attitude towards management. One time I suggested the idea of having a Manny Award. I call it a Manny Award. Every year you pick out one manager who really gets it and really knows the contract and really cooperates in some way. Not just, managers are all bad and they're always abusing everybody. Yeah, I see that. And I won grievances against, on behalf of employees that were being abused, got it stopped. And the manager got transferred out of the unit. I've been through all that. But the reason, when I got the retaliation and I refiled for that reason, all of a sudden, the file, I believe the file got lost twice. So I was like, okay, they don't want to take on the Department of Corrections is the way I felt about it. But let me get back down to the main thing is, as a person my age, I'm past retirement age. And when I was a Teamster, I was once in the Teamsters Union, and they had a thing called seniority. And I mentioned this to you before. And you said that you would take this up. And I'm willing to champion that. Seniority is a system of succession that takes greatly into consideration how long someone has worked in an organization. We don't have that at all. they can, like in corrections, they can put anybody, their attitude is they can put anybody anywhere they want because they have the authority to do that. And you can't say, well, gee, I've been here 10 years and that person's never even worked for the state before. They go, oh, well, we like the credentials. It's all based on the interview and so forth, right? So I would like to see some action taken on maybe not a strict seniority program like the Teamsters have,
right?
Worked for the biggest food processing plant in the world. It's like when one person left a job, there was a person in line that had an option for that job. And everybody just moved right up the line, and there was never any conflict about, nepotism or.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to answer you briefly, and then we'll get to Casey Gassar, and then we'll get to Bobby Dalton, and then we'll come back to Robert Bays and Delia Jaramillo. First thing, what role will Local 1000 play in politics? A very much smaller role. Because no one asked me in the campaign what was the one issue in politics that I would say, yes, we will be involved. And so I'll tell you, Warren, since no one else was smart enough to ask me, pension, okay? When you talk about that pension, we'll be involved. So you've heard it first tonight. This is the first time I'm saying this because you took your time to talk to me. Second thing, I'm gonna beg you to come back to be a job steward. Third thing, to all those job stewards in CDCR who left, I don't know why you're not calling me. Samantha Lindsay, you got my number. The next thing real quick, please don't retire yet. Because once we build this strike fund, all the things that you and other people want in this next contract that you've never seen before, if you don't have a strike fund, then what are you saying? Then you're willing to accept whatever listen to how I say this. You're willing to accept, it doesn't matter what political party that the state legislature or governor is. If you don't have a strike fund and you're not ready to fight, then you'll take whatever they give you and you will be therefore asking for a livable wage. And that's what poor people who have no type of backing, that's how they talk.
Hey, Richard, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it was a comment that I had I'm feeling very strongly that you need to stop campaigning. The campaign's over.
But I'm not campaigning.
You need to stop trying to convince everybody that you're going to do all these wonderful things.
No,
I got one more issue that I want to talk about.
Hold on, wait. Hold on, Warren. Hold on a second.
I want to stop talking, but one thing I want to talk about.
Warren, no. You're not going to take over this call because you've been talking for about 5 minutes, not talking about 1 minute, and then I'm done. I want to thank you for coming on. My number's all over Facebook. You can call the union. You can reach me. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's move on to Casey Gassar. Hi, Casey.
Can you hear me?
Hi, how are you?
I am doing all right. I'm really happy that you are the new steward for SEIU 1000. I work for Prison Industry Authority out of CDCR.
Right.
In HFM division. And I have to be honest with you, and I'm probably going to get a bunch of people out here that hate me, but I left the union 2 years ago because none of us state custodians that work in the prisons have been represented. They don't even know what we do. We call the union and say, hey, do you guys know what we do? No, you just clean offices. That's the furthest thing from the truth. We actually supervise inmates. We train inmates. We also give them certifications, apprenticeships. We are 90% with maximum security inmates every single day. We escort inmates. We do everything that a correctional officer does, and we don't even have anybody that even knows what we do.
I'm listening.
So that's basically, that's my little rant. I know that this is your first day, and I've been watching you on YouTube and stuff, and I think that you may be the person to bring some change and maybe shed some light on what's going on. I have done everything. Even before I left the union, I would go and talk to union reps. We do have some union reps that work out of my prison. Miss Amos has tried to back us up as much as she can, but she works for the nurses, and she can even vouch for what we do. But nobody in the union has any idea what we do. They even took the correctional facility off of our title. And that really hurt us too in the last negotiations.
And so, Casey, I apologize for that. And so when I told people I was coming to all these work sites, I'm coming to the work sites. I think I'm supposed to go to one work site sometime in August here in DLC 784 for DLC President Cullen Craw. And, I'm asking people to invite me. I guess I'm gonna have to invite myself to these work sites. And so I'll try to work with the staff here to schedule to where I can visit every work site up and down the state of California. And I realized that I can't get to the CDCR fast enough, but I will come, Casey, and you have my number. When people call me, if I can't call you back that same day, you'll get your call back within a day or two.
Okay.
I return all calls. I'm behind in my emails, everyone. I know. And I'm behind in all the Facebook comments. I know. I'm behind. But I do care, Casey. And I'm going to tell you this before I stop talking. People tell me the 21% pay increase is too much. They don't think it can be done. And what they don't know is the one group of people that I'm driving this and why I won't back off and why I won't budge is because of the custodians. Because you literally clean up the shat. The shat. And I don't know. You tell me if there's a more dirtier job, then watch it on cable TV. And I'm done talking. Thank you very much for your time, and you will see me.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Oh, and Casey?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna beg you to become a member. So tell you and other custodians, I will beg. That's how I get down. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move to Bobby Dalton.
Good evening. So I was elected to the SBAC. So to hear that it was postponed was a little disappointing. But it is what it is. I do have a question though related to two of your points on your 10-point platform. One is related to the bargaining team. In your platform, you mentioned that you wanted to hire college-educated negotiators. And I guess I wanted to dive into a little more of what that looks like. In that, does that mean external negotiators? Does that mean getting rid of our contracts department? Does that mean replacing the bunk with external negotiators that don't know the work that we do? So that's my first question, if you could dive a little bit into that. My next one, because the strike fund has come up a couple times tonight, you've mentioned a huge strike fund, but I couldn't find any details on that. Like, how much are you talking about? What do you expect to pay for? Is it just the basic necessities of employees? Is it paying for their full salaries? In building a strike fund, what's your goal in like what you would cover for employees that would go on strike?
So thank you for those great questions. That first one, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the D-Burrs or the bunk team. What I'm simply saying is, I think we need to hire some pros to work along with that team. And to some people, Bobby, these contracts don't mean anything to these people because they feel like these pay raises are not worth a damn thing over the years. And so they want to see something different. Now, the strike fund. When I sit down with the department, the CFO, and they can tell me honestly where all this money is and how we can build it. And they'll tell me that, hey, we haven't been contributing to our strike fund, but I haven't been able because this is a holiday week and people are off vacationing with their family. And it's been hectic on my first couple of days. My goal is, I believe with SDI, it's like 55%, but if it was workman's comp, it would be 70 to 75%. So that would be my goal, to pay a person's salary like that. And so you would say, well, how long did you do that for? And who would get paid? Well, first, the people who paid into it would get paid. But Bobby, you know this, some people would not be able to, let me stop, because I don't want to go into strategy. Let me stop. I'll stop there. So if you have my number, it's on Facebook, you can call the union and we can talk offline because I don't want to say too much on that. Okay, thank you for your questions. And hopefully we'll get this SBAC scheduled in a timely fashion. Okay, so the next hand, so now we have two new people, Robert and Delia. We have a Cheryl Allen, I see, and a Joyce Thomas. Okay, so hi, Cheryl Allen. Hi, Cheryl Allen.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, great. Good evening. Nice to meet you, Richard Brown, as you stated. I
Oh,
am
nice to meet
Cheryl
you.
Allen. I am a senior steward and DLC 768. I currently work for the Secretary of State's office and have been an employee there for well over 21 years. In fact, I've been with the state of California for 28 years as of July 6th of 2021.
Wow.
To piggyback on a lot of what my union brothers and sisters have already questioned you about, I would just like to have a better understanding with regards to this A, strike fund, and B, the plans that you have in store for bunk or an SBAC. Now, I understand that you can't get too detailed as this is an open forum and there are more likely than not all types of people, union related, staff related, as well as those who are union busters. So we should probably reconsider that type of forum in more ways than one. However, as someone who's been around under both union factions, under CSCA, which is when I started working for the state of California, and for the transition into SEIU, I find it very disheartening and in fact misleading to the new members or to the members who may not have been around for as long as I have, by the impression that the bargaining team and that the SBAC are, quote, unprofessional and uneducated. Not only is that offensive to those who are, but quite frankly, Richard Brown, this under SEIU Local 1000 and the current bargaining team style strategy, I'm not promoting or disregarding anyone in any capacity, but as a 30-year or close to a 30-year state employee, 28 years as of July 6th, I'll repeat that again, 28 years.
Congratulations.
I thank you. I can vouch and I challenge anyone to defy this vouch, but this is the first time that we were able to successfully have any types of substantial raises for a consecutive amount of time. Now, given the circumstances with COVID-19 and, you know, those sorts of things that we had no control over, had that not have happened, this would have been at least the 8th or the 9th year consecutive that we would have received a raise of 2% or more. Now, I'm not sure, which is why I'm questioning you in particular, but the word on the curb is that your intentions are to hire outside staff, which I agree with. I believe the union brother's name was Dean. No one's going to care about us the way that we care about us, but your intentions are, at least the word is that you intend to hire people to come in and negotiate on my behalf. Now, as a single mother, unless someone is a single mother, they can't bargain for me. That's first. Secondly, your ideology would also change the compass of the union being member-led and member-ran. So while there are some issues that are of a dire need with regards to union leave and people abusing it or people abusing their titles and by staying in any position for an extended amount of time without reflecting work or reflecting productivity, I think that you should really reconsider what it is that I've been made aware of. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm listening. I want to take a look at my 10-point plan for a second.
Yeah, so basically those are my two questions. Without getting too specific in what your details or what your strategies are with regards to bargaining, SBAC, DBERS, and bunks, including bunk chairs, what are your plans? And then with regards to this strike fund, that too is problematic in that another word on the curb is that you are intending to lower membership dues. Well, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So if you are lowering membership dues, which I presume is how you planned on paying said staff, where do you think that you're going to be able to get educated motivated staff to come in and bargain for 95,000 people whom they don't know. And quite frankly, once they walk from the table, could probably care less. So I know I probably said a lot. If you need me to, I can reiterate my questions, but those are my questions. What is your plan? And what is your strategy as it pertains to the union as a whole? Not what somebody else did in the past, not what somebody else's history has either done or not done that appeases you, but what is your plan in moving forward in addition to uniting the union without begging people to return to be a part of something that will benefit them. If you have to beg someone to be a part of the union, then maybe that's something that should be reconsidered as well.
Okay, Cheryl Allen, I'm so glad you called. So it's funny, you talk about the past and then you talk about these rumors. So you say, we're not going to talk about the past, don't worry about the past, but yet you're talking about these rumors that people are saying about me. That's interesting to me. That's the first thing. Second thing, I never said that I was taking away the bunk or destroying the SBAC. I never said that. The third thing, the strike fund, and you're talking about my strategy. And people have already said, don't talk about strategy out loud on Facebook and in the public. That's the third or fourth thing. But I want to get to about the create the guaranteed enforceable union contracts. That's the first thing I said in point 6, create guaranteed enforceable union contracts. And why I'm begging people to come back to the union, because our union has given up our money time and time and time again to these politicians. So then I'm gonna continue on. By finally hiring a team of college-educated, experienced, professional labor negotiators to aggressively fight for substantial compensation, 21% that includes GO pay and COLA for everyone. That's what I said. So you can interpret these platform points any way you like. This is America, and this is the great thing about our country. Everybody has an opinion. But I ran for president, and I won. And so a lot of people don't like that. What I simply say to you is, I hope that I can work with you and everyone else, and this idea that it's the funny thing, you said I'm begging people to come back to the union. I thought the rumor was I was working with the Right to Work or the Freedom Foundation to destroy the union. But now you're telling me that I'm begging people because I just asked someone to come back to the union because I thought that's strongly about the union. So I'm confused too about what people are saying versus what I'm actually doing. But that's okay. I've taken 2 minutes to respond to you. I'm greatly appreciative. And hopefully we can meet one day in person and we can have a great conversation because I'm not going anywhere for a while. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go to a Joyce Thomas.
Hey, Richard, this is Joyce Thomas, Villaranga. I work in the URC and I'm also the UAW 2350 president.
Oh, okay. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Hey, I wanted to revisit the issue that Preston brought up so that you can maybe, I don't think you understood it quite well.
Okay.
So only the staff, the URC staff, when we look at Compass, there are things that are blacked out in there that we can't see, such as a work email. And especially with corrections, even if you have an extension for somebody, if they've been moved, you can't find them. And if you call a prison, if you don't know the extension, you're not getting anybody. It's not going to go anywhere. So I'll give you an example. My phone rang at 1 o'clock this morning because a lady received a rejection during probation. I had called her on her personal number because I didn't have a work number and I didn't have a work email. So she called and she was panicked, rightfully so. So she called me at 1 o'clock in the morning because I didn't know, I just knew she received something. And she was panicked, so she called me at 1 o'clock in the morning to tell me she received this rejection. Had I had access to her work email, I could have sent her an email at work, and she could have called me during her work hours, which happened to be third watch. And she would. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's placing a burden on the staff because we don't have access to that kind of information, especially for those of us in the URC that need to contact these members because we have their livelihoods in their hands. So I'm not asking you to make a decision. I just would like you to revisit that because I heard you tell him, no, we're not going to do that. Maybe revisit having that kind of stuff not blacked out.
No. Maybe can you explain the reason why it went away? Okay.
You know what, Joyce? I know what you're saying, and maybe I didn't articulate that correctly. We're going to get this corrected. you know what I want to do, Joyce, and you know how I'm being held back. So we'll figure this out together. And by us working together and figuring this out, how we can work, I can work with the staff here. I'll also, in the same process, learn how to work with these members too, because I know there are people who feel like they're not getting their answered from the URC, and maybe because of the fact that they don't have access to the information fast enough. We will correct this problem. That's a promise.
Great. I saw somebody just posted the work email address is easy. It's not easy because if you have a common name, there's a number or a symbol or something like that. So it's not as easy as people think it might be. And I want the members to understand that sometimes not that we're not calling them back, it's that we don't have access during regular business hours and you're at work. So that's the problem.
And you know what, Joyce? All of these people that are saying that the URC, the MRC is not working hard. If there's one bad apple in the group, then sometimes they say that destroys the whole group. Absolutely. However, we're a labor union. And so we cover our bad apples so we can protect our good apples. And therefore, and I see the messages that come across. Yes, I'm absolutely with you. We have to take care of our people and we will improve. And even though all of these years, for 13 straight years, everything was fine in this union. But now that I'm here, now I'm being questioned on every single thing I say, every single thing I do, what color is my shirt, how I wear my hair, do I talk correctly, do I wear the right glasses? I'm on good behavior tonight. And you see
I thank you, Richard, because we're on the same page.
I'm on good behavior tonight. I'm very calm. When I'm this calm, okay.
Yes, our conversations have been, we're on the same page with representation, so I appreciate that.
And we're going to give out much better representation, and your people will not be overworked, because I know there are state employees who are overworked, disrespected, underappreciated, and their contracts not being enforced, and they lose money time and time and time again. And yet they're told to support these politicians. But let me shut my mouth. I'm going to go on a rant. Okay, thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next person is Denise Smith. Hi, Denise.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
Well, welcome to the chaos, I would say firsthand.
Yes.
And I do work for the Department of Corrections, and I do have a couple of concerns. Okay. I am from Bargaining Union 20, which is LVNs.
Mm-hmm.
My concerns is one, and this is going to be for future and present. My concerns would be first, as far as the HEROES Act pay for the nurses at the department. They said that we do not qualify for the HEROES Act pay, which all nurses outside of the prison did receive. So that was one of my concerns. And another concern was, actually a question. When and will would you meet with Governor Newsom if you do? What will your proposal be to him regarding that issue with the HEROES Act pay for nursing at the at any facility that work for the prison? Because we work just as hard as the first responders on the outside. We lost family, we lost friends just as well as they did. We caught COVID. I caught COVID 3 times, not that it matters. And another concern or question would be, we as LVNs of the Department of Corrections, we are underneath so many other entities like DMV, social workers, teachers, custodial, and not that I'm dismissing them by no means, but I feel like because the psych techs have their own union, the RNs have their own union, I feel like we should join the LVNs, should have their own bargaining union as well. Because it's like, we're just throwing in, into so many other entities. It's like, nobody's really fighting for the LVNs, I would say, because when they took over the MTA job, the MTAs had a decision to either become custody or nursing, and we didn't really qualify underneath the union, so they just kind of just threw us out there. So I would like to know if and when do you think there will ever be a proposal for LVNs to have their own contract, their own union?
Okay.
I'm fighting for nursing because
I got it.
I feel
So-
like my union representation at where I do work at, she has done her best, but I've asked questions to her saying like, well, if you want to put us underneath somebody, we're in between RNs and psych techs. Psych techs are considered more that they have a classification of more education, mental health, I should say. But it's just like we went to the same schooling and we have more schooling than the psych techs do. So it's just like we should be classified either right in the middle. And as far as pay goes, we should be equivalent to the psych techs or right below them. And I'm speaking for primarily for nurses at the Department of Corrections.
Okay, so you said a lot. Hopefully you've spoken to your DBER, and your DBER has given those concerns to your current bunk chair. That's the first
When
thing.
I do ask questions, not to cut you off, my apologies, but when I do ask questions, and I'm not a fan of the union because I had a situation where I was suspended for 30 days without pay, and the union did not support me. So I'm trying to get back in the groove of things with the union and trying to better side and make this better decisions. But when I do ask questions to my union representation, they give me, well, if you want union, if you want psych pay, go to psych. If you want RN pay, go. That's not the question. I'm an LVN. I'm not a psych tech and I'm not an RN. So it's just like, that's why I kind of shun the union, because it's like when you ask questions, they just look at you like and give you some asshole backwards answer. And it's just like, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a solid answer so I know which direction to go.
So, and you and many people feel like this. And so this is the great concern in the union. People feel like the union doesn't care about them. So when you hear about these bunk chairs and how hard they're fighting and doing all these different things, people like yourself would say, you don't believe that. So what I would simply say is, please continue to talk and elevate this to your job steward, to your DBER, and to your bunk chair, because you're talking to me live and I'm taking time to talk to you. But I want to get back to what you said about that hero pay and the essential worker pay. So I haven't reached out to the governor yet because I'm trying to find out where this union, what was their process when they were already trying to get the money for the hero pay and the essential worker pay. I'm still trying to figure that out. I haven't been given the answers yet. And I hope everyone who's watching from the union, from the staff, is watching this, because I know that I haven't gotten a call from the governor. Now, some people would say, well, the governor doesn't want to talk to you, Richard. He probably doesn't. Because if you think about this, Denise, if we were to enforce our contract, you wouldn't be needing that money. You see, we didn't enforce our contract. And that money that comes from the federal government is at his discretion. He decides who he gives it out to. He decides,
Right.
Not us. So we're not really in a position to ask for anything. Listen to how I said this. We're the union. Why are we asking anybody for anything? But I'm still going to do it anyway, because you and other people are wanting to get it in the pipeline for that money because you deserve it, especially those in CDCR. But I don't want to say that people in CDCR are more special than the state custodians. I don't want to say they're more special than EDD or some of these other agencies.
And I get that. And like I said, everybody has their own custody. Custodials have their own. DMV has their own. Teachers have their own. And like I said, and I'm not dismissing anybody else's job description.
Right.
All I'm saying is just like, I was just like, well, we are considered first responders, RNs, LVNs, mental health, custody, sheriffs, paroles, everybody. And it's just like, we kind of got crapped on at the end of the day because they're all like, oh, they work behind the walls. And it's just like, literally, prison is an entity of its own, you know?
Well,
so that was my only concerns. I was just like, well, if they got it, why didn't we get it?
So I apologize, Denise. We're failing you. And that's why I got elected, so that we can stop this failing you and you can, rejoin the union. That's why I have a lot of work to do. And you know, there's a lot of job classifications that want their own bargaining unit. And I don't want to say their names because I know they're listening. And I'm trying to keep everyone together in these 10 bargaining units. That's what I'm trying to do. And I know a lot of people don't like that. But I want to thank you for this phone call. And I will find out where the union was in this process of asking for hero pay and the essential worker pay in regards to it being distributed to those in Local 1000 that continue to go to work and put their life on the line. Thank you for your call, ma'am.
Thank you for your time, and I wish the best for everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. I believe we have DLC President 767, Richard Wake, on the line. Hi, Richard.
Yeah, so just trying to figure out what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it here a little bit, but
okay.
You know, I come from a very staunch union background. My mom turned her master's thesis into a book about Mother Jones. She did a lot of research on organized labor. My dad was an IAMAW member. He worked for United Airlines for over 30 years. He was on strike twice. I've seen what private industry can do to working families. My dad lost a third of his pension just before he retired. My aunt organized her tool and die factory. So I have very staunch views about these things. So let me just make my viewpoint clear, and I'm not directing this to anybody in particular, but I'm going to say it anyways. Giving benefits to non-union members voting rights is right to work. Okay, that's what it is. It's right to work. You can say whatever you want to say. Anybody can say whatever they want to say, but giving benefits to non-voting members, that's tantamount to scab labor. That's right to work, okay? First of all, and let me just say another thing here. The continued notion that dues money goes to politics is false. That is not true. All of the money, the $1 million that went to fight the recall did not go to Governor Newsom. That is not our dues money. That is voluntary donations from the Cope Fund.
No.
Our dues money cannot go to politics, okay? It cannot go to political campaigns. It did not go directly to Governor Newsom. It went to SEIU California.
Okay.
So that's another thing to say.
Okay.
And also, to say that, to give $2 million to go to so-called displaced employees up at Susanville, first of all, if you have anybody that takes a look at the Department of Corrections website, okay, they're going to see that a lot of these employees are going to be relocated to other prisons. There was no conspiracy by the governor to close the prison because people in Lassen County had a high percentage rate of signing the recall petition. The closure of the prison was well into the works long before that. I was an SROA employee. So, a lot of these people are going to be relocated. Is it going to be a hassle for some? Well, yeah, sure. It was a hassle for me when I was on the SROA list when Schwarzenegger was governor. But you know what? All these departments have to hire SROA workers before they hire new hires, reinstatements, promotions, or lateral transfers. No one's going to be out of a job. And if they are, it's going to be for a short amount of time. What we need to do is do what we did when Schwarzenegger was governor and put a career fair together to get these people jobs that are going to be on the SROA list. That's what needs to happen. But I'm just going to cut right to the chase here. As a DLC president, I am under no circumstances going to vote to give benefits to non-members. If someone in here belongs to a gym, I can't walk into your gym and just say, hey, I'm going to work out. I get laughed right out of the place because I'm not a member. The same principle applies. Giving benefits to voting rights to non-union members is right to work and scab labor. Mr. Brown was praised on the Freedom Foundation right after his election for promoting right to work values, okay? Mr. Brown also appeared on a podcast with Nicholas Wildstar, the right to work African-American libertarian candidate for governor, and all they talked about was right to work. That's all they talked about, and supporting right to work. That's true. Why everyone can watch the video. The majority of the stuff that was talked about was Mr. Wildstar, sir, praising you for your anti-union values. That's what he did. Okay, so, you know, you wonder why people are against you. It's because you're acting more like the Freedom Foundation and not a union president, okay? Union president would not be promoting right to work and giving voting rights to non-union members. So in closing, I'll tell you, I'm not going to ever invite you to my DLC or to my workplace at the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. Right to work crap is not going to come into my building any way, shape, or form. I will never vote to right to work to give voting rights to non-members. That's mooching. That's what it is. It's mooching, okay? Those people that are non-members are mooching. And nobody that's not a member should not be allowed into these union meetings. You want the benefits of becoming a member? Then join the goddamn union, okay? That's scab labor, that's right to work. Let's get with the program here and start acting like union members, and quit promoting all these lies, falsehoods, and BS, because that's what it is. Lies and BS. That's what it is. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, we've been waiting on Mr. Richard Wake all this time. You know, I find it very interesting in our great country that my ancestors came over as slaves, working for Europeans. And my ancestors weren't allowed to vote. And so when I say voting for all, you don't apply a poll tax, because that's what you're doing, applying a poll tax for a person to vote. See, I didn't come over here. My family didn't come over as free people. They came over as slaves, Richard Wake. And by the way, happy Juneteenth to you. So that's how I feel, and that's how I was elected. And I can guarantee you that minorities in Local 1000 did not put me in office. That's the funny thing. So I'm very clear. If you look at the Local 1000 website, you don't get, if you're not a dues paying member, you don't get those benefits. And you've never heard me say that in my platform. What I said is, you don't charge someone money to vote in this great country that I served honorably through the US Air Force. That's what I said. I've never worked with the Freedom Foundation or the legal, whatever that term is. I've never done that. And I've been asked by a lot of people to come on their podcast. And I have always said, pro-labor, this is a labor movement. We're going to create US history. So people can run and say all these things they want about me. If I was so afraid, if I was so scared, then why am I always doing these transparent videos? Because I'm not afraid. And I'm going to expose these people for who they are. Now, Richard said that he's not going to ever invite me to his DLC 767. Well, you know what, Richard? You don't have to, because I'm the president of Local 1000. I'll come to your DLC whether you like it or not. And I'll have people inviting me there. Okay. And you know, it's funny how they say I'm trying to destroy the union, but here I am begging people to join the union. So which one is it? Is Richard trying to destroy the union? Or is Richard begging people to join the union? What is Richard doing? What is he doing? See, you said that, hold on, dues don't pay for politics, and the money that they sent to SEIU council to help Gavin Newsom fight his recall, that money came from Coke. Well. Oh, I've been waiting on this. That's why I'm smiling so much. I'm not even excited. Because I just talked to the staff yesterday, and the staff told me something different. That money came from PAC, Issues PAC. So Richard, you don't know what you're talking about. That money did come from our dues paying money. But you wouldn't know that because you have an agenda to carry out, and you do it quite well. And this is why I like you, Richard Wake. This is why I like you and I respect you, because you don't back off. You keep coming at me any way you can on Facebook and any social media. And I love it. I love it. And you're telling me ahead of time that you can't even have an unbiased decision on the vote next week on July 6, 2021 at 6 p.m. about to help those good people in Lansing County. Oh yeah, I love it, because I want those people, because that Zoom link is going to everybody across the world so they can hear people like you talk, and then they can see really who's with the people and who's for the status quo. I love it. I love it. And I hope Lansing County, I hope you're seeing Richard Wake right now. He's speaking against you. And when you called and told me in tears that you're afraid you're going to lose your family because you're not guaranteed to be relocated to the high desert ridge, high desert ridge up there in Susanville. And if you get relocated there, you may bump somebody else off and then they may be out of a job, or you may have to go to one of these other prisons and leave your community where you've been raising your family, where your family's family came from all these years. I love you, Lansing County. And I know your prison would not be closing if you were in the urban areas of LA, Oakland, Compton. You think you'd be losing your jobs? No, you would not. No, you would not. But I'm glad Richard Wake has exposed himself. And I'm glad that the staff told me, no, Richard, you were right. The money did come from the PAC. In fact, when we sent the budget agenda out, it tells you the sourcing fund PAC. But some people have a hard time reading. They have a hard time, understanding what they're reading. But it's okay, because in America, you can read and mess things up. This is a free country. Currently, I'm not going to cancel out Richard Wake. I'm not going to block you, Richard Wake. You keep coming, because what you do is you actually inspire me. And that's why I love you so much. That's why I love Frank Askin. In fact, me and Frank, we actually had some agreements. Even me and Scott B. Smith sometimes have some agreements, not very often. But you guys keep coming at me, and I love it. I love this communication, because the former president, she didn't talk to y'all. If y'all couldn't serve her interests, hit the road. She barely talked to her. Let me stop. Let me slow down. I want to thank you so much, Richard, for calling. And I look forward to working with you. And maybe one day we can get past our differences and you can actually invite me to your DLC. But when someone from your DLC invites me, if I decide to show up at one of your state agencies as a Local 1000 president, and you can't come in and show me a level of respect, you know what that really tells me? You know what that really tells me? That you can't show me that level of respect, and how you're so set out about saying that I'm trying to destroy the union by allowing non-members to vote, because I'm telling them that you don't have to pay money to vote. You may not be able to afford it. You may be living paycheck to paycheck, or you may not support the politics of this union, but you're trying to portray it like I'm trying to destroy the union. You know what that really tells me about you? It tells me something, because you're digging in deep on me. You can't even get away from me. Every day you get up, you think about me. My name's in your mouth, it's in your mind, I'm in your throat, I'm in your heart, I'm in your soul. Every day you wake up, you're talking about Richard Lewis Brown. You can't shake me. Every day you wake up, you see me on Facebook in the mornings, I'm smiling, midday, evening, midnight, you can't stand me. You don't like who I am, you don't like where I'm from, you probably don't like how my ancestors got here. Okay, no, hold on, Ronald Rawson. No, I'm not moving on. Back up, Ronald Rawson. Let me handle this, okay? Richard wanted to talk a little bit. For Richard to Richard, I still love you, because I believe in God through Jesus Christ. And even though I know you're not with me, I'm still gonna love you anyway. Love you. Let's move on. Jill Joyner. Hi, Jill. Hi, Jill Joyner. I'm fine, Ronald. I am not hyped. I'm very fine tonight. I'm in a great mood. Hi, Jill.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
How are you?
I'm okay.
Well, you really, I'm ready to get my foster kittens into adoption, but that's beside the point. So Here's what I'm going to say. Little disclaimer with a Native American background.
Okay.
Native Americans were actually the first ones that were completely enslaved first. We were the first ones that were commercially enslaved. So let's start with that one. On a side note, I'm at the 1515 Clay Street building, and I'm in the process of working with union stewards about opening up some doors for the Native American culture. So what are you going to do to fix that? Because from where I'm sitting, we're the single most ignored class of people in the whole United States. So what are you going to do to open that door? That's my first question. And my second question is, I'm in the process of trying to become a union steward in my building because we're ignored. And I wanted to open that door. And I'm going to give Joel Chicks in the building are really gracious when it comes to that, because I'm usually the one that gets into a group and we're all laughing and start talking about coffee, and then we'll loop into cats, but that's beside the point. But I'm in the process of trying to become a union steward because I know there's several Native Americans in the building that are basically being totally ostracized in a group setting and picked on by the managers. So what are you going to do to help me become a union steward? And what are you going to do for November for Native American Month, which is completely ignored? I'm a tough cookie. You might want to put me on that bargaining team because I'm the worst person to negotiate with when I know I'm right, but I'm the best person to take with you to the flea market.
You know what? You make great points. You make great
Mhm.
points. You make great points. You know I stand by my platform. And I know that I said that if it has to do with contract negotiations or job representation, I'm all for it. So I know you may be interested in the policy file as far as the human rights committees, but I haven't decided on that yet. So I don't have any
Well,
any answers for you.
Well, here's what you're gonna do, and
Okay, I'm
forgive me
listening.
for taking command of the situation. What are you
Sure.
gonna do to help me become a union steward so I can open those doors? Because I'm gonna give my guys props in my building,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very gracious people, and they understand the plight. But Native Americans are the #1 class of citizens that are completely labeled.
Okay.
I, for one, I am very tech savvy, and this is my boss has labeled me this. I'm tech savvy, and I live in a teepee. Well, I'm sorry, if I don't have my Wi-Fi, we're gonna have problems. Just saying. I like my Wi-Fi, and I run circles around all my adopted children. So
You
what
know
are you
what?
gonna do to help me become a steward?
You know, Annika Waz is working around the clock. She's the VP of Organizing and Representation. She's working around the clock to expedite that process. So I'm sure you'll be able to send her an email, or I can try to, you can.
I've been.
I'm sorry.
Forgive me. I'm sorry for interjecting. So let me say that one first. I already submitted my application with 3 letters of recommendation. I did that right before the pandemic, and then the guy quit. That's what was conveyed to me. So here's what I'm
Okay.
going to say.
Mhm.
Let's fix this, because
That's
I'm
right.
ready to open doors in my building for Native American representation. And then my next thing is I'm going to throw back into your plate. What are you going to do to support Native American Month? Because that's not even spoken about, which kind of makes me frustrated. Because I'm be honest with you, you see who's in the White House right now. Our people are judges, our people are on the Supreme Court, our people are lawyers, our doctors, and we're all the way down cashiers at Walgreens. We're everywhere. We're still here. Hello. But we're treated like second-class citizens because there's no representation whatsoever within SCIU. Tough cookie, huh?
Well, ma'am, I deeply apologize if that's how you feel. And I'm going to respect the fact that you're Native American and you was on this soil first. I'm going to respect that. And what I'm trying to do, ma'am, is unify this union, regardless of a person's ethnicity or culture or sexual orientation. That's my first task. And so you keep asking, what am I going to do for Native American? Hold on. You keep asking, what am I going to do for Native American Month? But that's not what I'm tasked with. I'm tasked to unify this union and drive us forward, increase membership. So let me.
Well, you're not gonna
sorry.
do. Forgive me. I understand what you're saying, and we've already rehashed this a couple of times over, and I understand what you're saying. And forgive me. And my foster cat is making my cat crazy. Anyways, long story short, by ignoring a whole class of people, by not even representing that whatsoever, and I'm going to give them one more time props to stewards in my building, because they understand this and they're opening those doors and they're walking with me and talking with me. By me not becoming a steward, since I'm the only one openly Native American in the group, my people were there at Custer's Last Stand. Okay, let's start with that. So you really want to be technical? We won. So you want to include me?
All right. So again, ma'am, I'm going to respect the fact that you're Native American.
Let's include me, because I am the worst person to negotiate.
Okay. And I'm sorry that you feel disrespected. I'm sure Annika's working around the clock. And if you don't think she's working fast enough, you're free to contact me at 408-207-2339. And you can say, Richard, I want you to move faster to make me a job steward. And we'll have that conversation and then we'll get done. All right. I want to thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't have a pen in front of me, and I've got
fur babies.
So I didn't even know that she was part of that.
Jolena, I'll contact you, ma'am. Okay. I said I'll contact you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And you wait. What work agency are you at again? What work
I'm
agency?
DIR DOSH. DIR DOSH.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling, and I'm gonna send you an email.
Literally, I'm in the elevator unit.
Okay. I'll contact you this evening or tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Monica Blancart. Monica Blancart.
Hi, Richard.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm out of DL 772. I work at Calvet and I am a CNA.
Oh, okay. That's very nice.
I need you to define what's the real deal for me first. When you talk about certain aspects of the DLC president. You were saying that Mary Dela Cruz was the real deal. Define that for me.
From my experience with DLC President 772, Mary Dela Cruz, she appears to be very sincere on helping everyone and fighting. And I believe that she's working with others to fight to ensure our union never goes away, and to ensure that we have long-term success for our union, because she wants people's voices to be heard. That's always the experience I've had with her. And that's why I said she's the real deal.
I have been the DBER for DLC 772 for 7 years.
Okay, I'm listening.
What is your expectation out of the DLCs?
To promote increasing membership, to ensure that we're enforcing our contract, that our people are, being respected and they're in a safe working condition.
Okay. What do you expect from your e-boards?
For them to, make sure that they're representing their people, and that if there's problems, to elevate it up to the statewide level, and to work in unison to ensure that, our people are represented.
What are you expecting of the presidents in our e-board, in our DLCs?
I'm expecting them to lead by example, and to make sure the contract's being enforced, and to inform the representative employees of their DLC of the actions of the union.
Okay. And if they aren't acting in that form of your expectation, what do you expect from those e-boards?
But what I just said, I mean, we want to make sure our people are represented, that they're in safe working conditions. We're going to ensure that we can inspire people to become dues paying members or to stay dues paying members. And so this takes a lot of work. So, I haven't.
I understand that.
Oh, okay.
Richard, I truly understand that. I hold what I do as a DBER for Bargaining Unit 20 for sitting on our e-board for 7 years, and for also being in my work site, the only steward.
Yes. And so when people call, you'll see that, I don't know all the people that call. Some people that call me, you can see right away if we get along or not. And so I everything you say, I have to take and say it has to be the truth. I don't have anything to dispute what you're saying.
Right.
So
well, that's why I'm asking questions for you.
Okay.
And I could be a little standoffish, and sometimes I could be a little rough around my edges because I don't know you. I don't know from if you're, I've never, because I've asked questions pertaining also to Javier, who he's not even in our union, and he promotes you. That's kind of scary, especially when he is not, he's in an appointed position on the labor side. That's kind of scary. I mean, on management side, he's in an appointed position. And when questioning him, he doesn't answer. And furthermore, when it comes to steward, I've been trained in the old fashion of being a steward. How come that program can't be implemented still?
Which program are you referring to?
The Job Steward program.
Annika Walls is working around the clock.
No, we have a program that's already been implemented. If you look on the website, we have a steward area. We have, I'm one of those people. I feel we need to self-educate ourselves. If our websites are set up, we have you gone on to our websites and see everything that's on there for SEIU?
Yeah, I was on a couple of days ago, but I'm trying to find out which exact program are you referring to?
We have areas where there's different, we can look up stuff as far as stewards. We have our advanced steward trainings that are on there.
That's right.
So my question is, why everyone's saying, oh, well, the guy quit. Well, how come we just can't hire someone new to start the program up again instead of waiting for Annika to reinvent the wheel?
Okay. So as we all know, the LAPS program stopped, I want to say when the pandemic took off around March of 2020, and it stayed down. And so when people were putting their applications in or they were in the LAPS program, everything just stopped. And so Annika is working around the clock with the staff here at Local 1000.
So is she working around the clock to hire somebody new, or is she working around the clock to wheel?
She's working around, okay. I don't want to speak for Annika, but what Annika tells me is she's working around the clock to revamp the program because that's in her wheelhouse as the organizing and representation, the VP of that category. So,
Well, I have a question with it. Now there's another question, because if she's revamping it, what was wrong with it?
Well, so Annika ran on a number of issues that she felt was important. But I was not part of her team, but they ran on these issues they felt were highly important regarding representation. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that they were talking about was the LAPS program. So if she gets in the queue, I'm sure she would love to talk about.
She's in the queue. I've seen her there. She's in there.
Okay, well, fantastic. So I don't know if IT has the ability to find her and let her jump in line, because I know she's working around the clock, because she tells me.
Maybe she can unmute herself.
Oh, she can?
Annika, if they give her permission, she can unmute herself.
Okay.
Because that would be something I'd like to know.
Annika? Yes, sir. Thank you, Key.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for finally calling on me. I've been going up and down. So I don't know if this is too premature, but yes, the last 2 days we have been working diligently. I want everybody to know that although, yes, Matt left us, before Yvonne left, she hired somebody to take Matt's place. So in the interim, Stephanie Ians, those of you know her as my old secretary, our old secretary. She is no longer our secretary. She is now the person who trains. So the old Matt, the old Kara, that's Stephanie Ians now. The last 2 days, and we actually had a meeting today with another one of our directors over at the URC, but the goal is for now, obviously, like Richard said, yes, we want to revamp it, make it a little bit more robust, add some stuff in it. It's likely going to change names, but for now, there's an expedited program that we will be starting. We are looking at the last 2 weekends of July as being the orientation, and anybody who's already gotten their LAPS application in. So these last 15 months of apps that have been sitting in a message box for whoever was to take that on are now being looked at. So we have applications that are complete that we have. There's about almost 60 of them. And then we have a whole nother list of individuals that is much longer of people who inquired. So the people who inquired will shortly be getting a note letting them know that LAPS will be starting up. We're actually looking for that cohort, fingers crossed, to actually be starting August 1. And we're looking for that to be expedited, an expedited program, kind of like it was done for State Bar. So it'll only be about 2 months long, right? At most. And by that time, you're going to have those 67 people who already have that. Well, if they make it successfully through the program, then obviously they would end that two-month training with their certification of being a steward. Everybody else, obviously, as we go along, we will continue to revamp, continue to boost up our ASTs as we've continued to do. Luckily, we started doing webinars before the pandemic hit. And so we were able to transition the majority of all of our ASTs into webinars. And so this first cohort that does go through this expedited LADS program, those about 60 people, and there actually might be a couple more because I was sent some applications personally and they may have not made it into that mailbox. So that is happening. FYI, I hope that answered the lapse question. We are working around the clock, but it's kind of hard. We're like you said, it doesn't make sense to reinvent the wheel. We just got to get it started right now, right? We got to get stewards through this program. If I have a second, can I also touch on a couple other things, Richard? Do you mind?
Yeah,
or
go
do
ahead,
you
right
want
ahead.
to end and
Yeah,
then
go
come
ahead.
back?
No, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, Monica. I'm sure you'll be able to continue. But now that I'm on, I also just kind of wanted to say that I heard yesterday's call, and there were some very interesting commentary going on. I thought personally it was very interesting that you had some of the individuals that voted against the VPs having full-time union leave and being able to do their jobs even though POPs were submitted. I found it very hypocritical that they were arguing to be off on full-time union leave when we hear stories about members, and I think we've heard many on this call already, that have not been served by the chairs that were on full-time leave or union leavers that were on leave. I'm actually working with a group out of the Central Valley, kind of below 772, but to no fault of 772's fault, but somebody else in the URC, we have a whole group of out-of-class people. So there are representation issues. We will need to hire, but I'm also I really believe that you should get POPs from everybody who's on union leave, right? Including us as VPs. I am 100% for that. I gave Yvonne POPs for what I was doing, which is why she granted me 2 weeks of union leave rather than 1. The same way that I would expect you to, go through my POP, I would expect the same thing of those chairs. I think that serve a lot of people, do a lot of work. Maybe they get 2 weeks, but you also have some chairs a lot in a long time. And I don't, we're not going to name anybody, but the reality is I think you should identify any special projects. I would argue LAPS is a special project right now and that I should be off on full-time union leave because as of the 8th, I am back to work again. So just something to think about. I will submit all the POPs you want. And I would expect you to treat us all the same and make them submit the POPs. And then you could decide whether or not they're actually doing the work. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Annika. Okay, so I think that answers Monica Blancart. And so we're going to move on to, we have a new person before we go back to Robert Bays and Delia and Ronald. The new person is Stephan Costello. Hi, Stephan. Hello, Stephan.
I do see that he's unmuted, but I don't hear anything coming out of his mic.
Hi, Stephan. You're unmuted. You can talk.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay, good. Sorry, I had the microphone on. I just wanted to say, great job. I'm excited to have you here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sorry, people are being so negative sometimes, but I'm excited for you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And as far as membership goes, like I'm in Unit 1, dues paying member. One of my friends and colleagues left because, and I was thinking about leaving because of the union just giving away 10% of our money with like no fight. And when I saw your platform, I sent him that and said, hey, check this out. Like this is something possibly worth coming back for. So to all the naysayers, like that's what I would kind of say. And I think it's entirely possible to get out of politics. I think it's that we should, as a union, we should be advocating on behalf of the workers and on behalf of, like, collectively as a group to have, you know, better contracts. And if we're just another branch of a political party, it's kind of hard to negotiate against yourself in that way. And then I think in contract negotiations, we're adversarial with the state, even though we're state employees. But as far as that goes, that's how I would feel. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Good job. I think my only ask is, and I'm sure this won't be popular, but I think it's hard and confusing if people want to leave. And I would ask, I think that that process could be easier, I guess, as far as like joining or leaving the union, like as far as paying. I think because I think you earn membership by providing value, not by like keeping people hostage. And by that I mean like the gym comparison that Mr. Wake made, I think is apt as far as like, because when I left paying my gym, like I had to send like a letter and like print a form and then file all these things, and it was confusing. And I think as far as, I guess, from what I've heard, as far as like when my colleague like left, didn't want to pay and like be a part of the union anymore, that was confusing and a little archaic. And I think it could probably be modernized. And then as far as rejoining, like I'm sure that could be modernized too.
So, well, I want to thank you for calling in. And, you know, I hear people sometimes say that it's hard to quit the union. And then the staff says, no, it's not hard. You know, I believe you can call in and send a letter the same way you would, you know, join by filling out the membership application. You know, I hopefully, you know, I don't want anyone to leave the union. But, you know, you said something else about what DLC President 767 Richard Wake said about the gym membership. And he's naive, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because when you go to a gym, the gym doesn't control your wages and working conditions. In fact, you can quit the gym and go join another gym. You can't quit Local 1000 because your job classification is owned by Local 1000, the exclusive representative clause. And these longtime Local 1000 leaders don't tell you that. I'm the only person of any candidate in all these years that tells you this is why they don't care if you pay them money or not, because they're controlling your work, your wages and working conditions. They control it, and it's not right. And so, you know, when they say, well, we're not going to let you go unless you pay us any money, but you're still controlling my wages and working conditions. That's why you have to let people vote, because by that contract, you still have to protect these people. And if you're being elected to protect those people by that contract, then you got to let those people vote on that contract and on the contract ratifications. But see, they take my words and they try to say, oh, he's not professional, he's not this, he's not that. Because when I start laughing and I start digging in their chest, they can't handle it. When they dig in my chest, when I come back for them, then they say I'm not being presidential. But I didn't win this election being presidential. I won this election being me. And so when you see me talk, you say, you know, this guy's a little different, but yet I make you feel a certain way and you can't shake it. And so you go tell your friends and colleagues, I think this guy, I know he can't win, but I'm voting for him anyway. And then I turn around and I win. You're like, oh my God, he actually won? Are they actually going to swear him in? But it's how I make you feel. And all these people, they want to be the smartest people in the room. I'm not trying to be the smartest person in the room, even though I'm college educated. What I'm trying to do is tell you that there is no one that's going to help you protect your money and fight for your family better than me. Nobody across this country. If they think they got it in them, I would say challenge me, because I know they don't. Thanks for calling in. And so we're going to move to the next caller, Jay Ponley. Hi, Jay. What's going on, Jay? Hello, Jay. Okay. Is Jay still with us? Okay, it doesn't look like Jay is still with us. So we're going to move to Robert Bays. We're back at the top of the queue. Hi, Robert.
Hey, what's up, Richard? Thanks for putting me back on. I just, right after Dahlia Jaramillo called me out and was saying some pretty nasty things earlier. And so you didn't give me a chance to say anything in response to that or defend. So I'm glad you let me back on now. And I'll just say to Dahlia that despite your unwarranted attacks and nastiness, I still love you and care about you as a fellow union member. And hopefully we can work together and bring this union forward despite all that, because really all this pettiness has to stop. I've been saying it for years, since 2000, since we founded the Young DLC in 2013, that it's really all about, being setting a new high professional standard about treating each other with, love and dignity and respect. And so I'll show that to you, even if it's not shown to me. But I will say on your point about, putting the VP of bargaining's quote unquote private matters in the air. And I will disagree. And I don't know why no one's, not to say challenge Richard, but challenge Richard on this yet. It is absolutely not a personal matter with Tony or the VP of bargaining. It's a personnel matter. And the reason that that's important is because if we're paying union your money for someone's state salary, right, then it is absolutely our business whether or not there is a job tied to that money, whether or not this person should or should not be on leave. And so I think that, in that regard, it absolutely should be concern everyone on this call. Because if someone doesn't have a state job, why are we pretending that they're the VP of bargaining? And I'm not saying that that's the case. I don't know anything about the situation. And when I brought it up, it was like I said, I was addressing what Kevin Healy brought forward. And so it's not anything that I have any inside knowledge on, but I will say as someone who believes in what we're doing and fighting for labor and fighting for this, huge, substantial contracts that we really need so desperately, it is very important that we have strong leadership. And if we have a VP of bargaining that we're taking out on union leave, like we have to know whether or not they're employed with the state of California. So that can't be Tony's decision. We got to get to the bottom of that, Richard. We have to find out, through any means necessary, whether it's true and take the proper action, if it is. And so you can replace the VP of bargaining with your appointee, or we can wait till the election or whatever. But it absolutely, we have to ensure anyone we have out on union leave is a state employee in good standing, like period. That's not something that we should even say, oh, that's a personal matter. So anyway, I just want to say that. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Robert. So I'm being told that people are tired. So we're going to stop the call, except we're going to end this call because I'm trying to work with people who are different than me. So we're going to end this call on Frank Askin. We're going to end the call with him. Hi, Frank. How are you? Hi, Frank.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for taking my call, Mr. President, this
you're very
evening.
welcome.
Let me just give you a little bit of background on myself. I am a Taurus, born on May 9th, 1968. I'm from the San Fernando Valley. Now, what I want to know is if this is SEIU Local 1000, why is Javier Cardenas on the call? He is with CASE. He's not with SEIU Local 1000. That's my first point. My second point is I would like and I would urge for you to please put SBAC back on the calendar for the 17th and the 18th. I stand in unity with the bunks and the chairs. As a newly elected CBER, this is vital to us. We need that SBAC. I stand in unity with the bunk, and we need this SBAC. Thank you very much for your time this evening, sir.
Well, thank you, Frank. And thanks for informing me that you're a Taurus. Now that I know your sign, okay. I want to thank everyone for calling in. I think I did pretty well tonight. Maybe one situation. but oh, I got a B. I think I got a B plus. All right, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I know that you say you want a 24-hour in advance. I'll simply say this: it was sent out. I'll try to make sure you get a 24-hour notice. The Stewart calls, you get a 24-hour in advance. But if you ever notice, I'm giving you more than you ever had before. I'm giving you more than you've ever had from any president of Local 1000. So, and I told you I'd be doing things probably daily, but I can't wear the staff out. So sometimes you're going to see me at home doing these videos. It won't be through Zoom. It'll be just on Facebook Live. So you won't be able to say that I couldn't communicate with the president. He didn't respond to my calls, my text messages, or those emails that are backed up on me. You'll get a chance to reach out to me on Facebook too. So you always be able to put your hands on me, good or bad. Okay, today is July 1st, 2021. Have a great 3-day weekend. Have a blast. And we'll be having the emergency Zoom meeting next Tuesday, July 6th at 6 p.m. And everyone's going to see it. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay.